Hi, my friend. Good morning. Good morning. I guess I'm live. Good morning to you. So, here we are with a brief session, very brief session on how to improve the accuracy, especially the accuracy and the comprehension when it comes to the language skills. In case if you are struggling with accuracy and the comprehension, so you can listen till the end of this particular session so that you will kind of understand what we are trying to, how you can actually improve in about a very short point in time. So I will take you through that process. That is what we do in this particular video. So here we go. So before that, let me have a quick understanding about whether the audio, video, visuals are fine. Then we will get started. Let me just quickly go through that. Let me also check from my end. Meanwhile, you can also give a confirmation from the other end that audio, video, visuals are fine. We are good to start. Yeah, good morning. Good morning. All right. Good morning, Prashant. Good morning, Aman. Yeah, here we go. So let me give a quick introduction about myself. So from what background I'm talking, I have mentored students for the last 14 years or so. Not exactly 14 years because the first 3, 4 years I didn't mentor much. Reason being, even I have to understand very gradually, like the mentoring always picks up. So because in the first 2 or 3 years, even we'll be learning how to mentor as a trainer. So that's the reality there. So gradually, yes, and therefore you can say that although I've been teaching for the last 14 years, that's since 2007, I've been aggressively mentoring in the last 6, 7 years or so. So looking at that, so basically, if you're very, very weak, because if you're good at it, the VARC section can be actually figured out in 35 minutes. People ace it. I have seen the kids because I've taught all my life in Bangalore here. So, and there are some good students who come from across the country to Bangalore, some of the toppers who work in IT firms because Bangalore is an IT city. Therefore, I generally get the opportunity to talk to some of the topmost brains from IT who are my students as well in the very formative years of their IT. Not only that, Bangalore also has some of the very, very good colleges. Therefore, I've seen the kids where the verbal section they will finish in flat 32, 33 kind of minutes, right? So, given the 40 minutes paper, 30 to 33 minutes is good enough. When it was 60 minutes paper, I've seen enough of them finishing the paper in 50 minutes and with about 85 90% accuracy. And of course, there may be 2 or 3 questions they might not know, but the rest of them they happily score it and they score when the paper was for that. When it was 30, there were about 34 questions earlier, so it was about 34 into 3. So when it was that kind of score, people used to easily get about 80 marks, 70 marks. All right, that was a common thing which I've seen among the students who are good at it technically, right? So they get about half of the total score from the verbal section itself. That is one spectrum. That is one spectrum. There is another spectrum who genuinely struggle with VRC because of the poor reading skills right from their childhood days, right? So right, I mean they read academics, they read, but they have the poor reading skills. They don't have, they were not reading 1 or 2 novels every week. It can be whatever. It can be Hardy Boys, or it can be Amelia Jane, whatever the kind of books that you can think of right from the childhood days. If you don't have the habit of reading, so naturally that will impact us when we come to the CAT preparation. There is definitely certain amount of impact which will be seen. So I'm talking more from that particular perspective here, right? So okay, hi Anvesh, hi Rishabh. Okay, that's what we are trying to see here. If you're already in a very literary club, in the sense you are a very good reader, you don't have to bother about this particular session. I'm just setting the expectation. You might not really get benefited because you're already there. CAT does not really require that kind of intense skills. So it is just about a kind of skill in reading is there or not. That's all it looks. Fair enough. So that's the perspective which I'm bringing from having mentored all these kind of people, having seen all these kind of people. So I've shared already. We arrived at certain practical ways of looking at this and how we can improvise from wherever we are in a very short period of time. Right. So this is my past. This is how I kind of worked already in the past last 14 years. This is where I spent most of my mentoring time and the training time. This is what it was. And if you want to interface with me for any quick counseling or so, you can join onto this particular Telegram channel and then we can speak from there. Yeah, before I start, quick announcements. So as you all kind of know that an academy offers two kinds of subscription. One of them is a plus, one of them is iconic, so represented in the form of a star. The difference is Plus offers all structured courses, pretty structured from level 0 to it will take you to the level 3. And if you're looking at very high scores, you got to do always in a very much in a structured manner. So that's something the plus provides, be it with respect to the test or with respect to the lectures, be it on the content, all of it. But Iconic gives you the benefit of speaking to the mentors one to one about any of your issues. Or if some RCs are holding back, you can always set up a meeting with the RC mentor and you can seek some guidelines from your perspective. Before you seek the guideline, naturally you will tell what is your background. Naturally, the mentor will ask you right from your childhood days till now what kind of readings you have done. That gives the how the mind is shaped up with respect to reading. And then they will be able to guide you because there is no one solution for everyone, right? So for example, somebody comes and says that I have a problem in quant. So we will always start from the school days. From school days till now, what is your association with mathematical aptitude or quantitative aptitude? Then we will get to understand that what is the gap there. Therefore, how you should work. How you should work could be sometimes different from how others has to work. All right, that's very individualistic, right? Therefore, this kind of one-to-one interactions will be kind of presented in Iconic. Not only that, very important thing is when it comes to the B schools, right? When you're applying the forms, what should be written, because you spent 20 years of your life, so what should be written, what should not be written on the form, how it should be seen, how it will be seen by the professor, right? These are very important things because based on that reading they will make a mental map about you. So that has to be going very judiciously, the words being used, the structure of the sentence being used, all that matters. So that's what the Iconic kind of provides with one-to-one mentoring. Yes, all of this comes with certain nominal subscription fee, and on the whatever the subscription fee that you are seeing, you get 10% discount if you use the code Belvi100. And same thing happens with Iconic as well. You get 10% discount if you use any of the educators code. Yeah, you've been encouraged to use this code as well. Coming to this, right? So let's come to this. So first, let's understand a couple of things. Say, what are the issues people face, right? So if you have any other issue, you can also put it down. I will try and address that issue as well. As I've seen in the past, some of the issues are poor accuracy in VARC, right? So what I'm trying to address through this particular discussion to fix the poor accuracy problem. Accuracy is poor in the sense, hey, what is poor? Anything below 70% is poor. Why? We are investing our time and on that particular question and we are getting it wrong. It's because we are getting it wrong, or if it is not a theta kind of question, it also robs -1 mark, right? After investing, you are actually scoring -1 mark. That is not worth the investment. That's a loss. That's a loss basically. Yeah, 100% accuracy I'm not talking about, but anything that is less than 70% is technically poor. Technically poor. That will not take us into a great position. That is our point. That is my point. Great position in the sense, if you are very ambitious, want to get a very high percentile. So anything less than 70% returns on your investment of time, because you're investing time in that question. So investment of time, if it doesn't yield 70% returns, then it is going to be little poor. That's going to be poor. Number one. Second one, fluctuation, which means sometimes it is my day, sometimes it is not my day. Scores fluctuate a lot, right? Given the same kind of paper, one day you score 30 marks, the other day you score 60 marks. You don't understand how it is fluctuating between 30 marks and 50 marks, or 30 marks and 60 marks, right? So that fluctuation we need to arrest, because if that fluctuation is there, it creates anxiety. As you get into the exam hall, you understand that I don't know, today it's going to be a 20 marks paper, for which means will I get 20 marks out of the verbal section, or will I be getting 50 marks out of the verbal section? That kind of fluctuation we need to arrest. If it is a huge fluctuation, hey, what if it is a minor fluctuation? That's okay. That's okay. Minor fluctuations are never a problem. So few marks here and there is fine. But if it is a huge fluctuation, like 25, 30 marks to 50 marks, that's a massive fluctuation, right? So that massive fluctuation is what we kind of need to arrest, right? And the comprehension skills are not great, right? Comprehension is not great. Rishabh, you are saying that comprehension and retention, that goes hand in hand. All right, that goes hand in hand. For retention, you have to work on your memory also, or work on your memory also. Some people are blessed with good memory. Some people are not blessed with not so good memory. You got to work on your memory, right? For example, people who clear the NEET. I will give an example. Like, so people who clear the NEET exam, they know the entire NCERT biology book by heart, right? So that these are the people who get 720 out of 720 in NEET, right? What if I have 720? If you have to get 680 out of 720 in NEET and you want to get into your top medical college in India, trust me, these guys will know in and out of that biology book word by word. They will know. I'm not kidding. This is proven. You just go to Akash or Alan, you ask to speak to those people who get the top honors. So they kind of know the book in and out. So what is that? Fantastic memory they have. Not only comprehension, they have memory. How? You got to work on that memory, right? There is no magic solution to it. So if you have intentional, I will tell you some strategy to work on that. You got to do that, because I've seen, I've met such people, right? I've met such kids I've seen them. I had a couple of my friends in my circle during my entrance exam days, which people have cracked like that. That is required there. Okay, any which ways, comprehension is more important for us. I will discuss that. So point is, can we do all of this in about 2 months time? Right? So let's try and see, is it really possible in about 2 months time there? Let's try and answer these questions. What do we do? First thing is, first and foremost thing is language a science or an art, right? It is more an art than a science. That is what people fail to understand. Any language is more an art than a science, right? Science is, the math is a science. Maths is more science driven than it is a art driven, right? So it's likewise. So some subjects, they are more art driven than science driven. Language is one of them because you will find fantastic speakers with amazing vocabulary, good grammar, but they might not really have a very formal education in that particular field. Why? Because language is more an art than a science. So anything that is an art, right? There is no definite time to improve. Honestly, there is no definite time to improve. That's the reason your school teachers keep telling that read, kids, read this book, read that book, read this novel, read that. Keep reading, keep reading. Reading is the only way to improve. Why? All right, reason being it is more an art, right? It is there is a less science and it's more an art. That is what people understand. Let's come to our three portions of preparation. Right, we have VARC, we have QA, we have DILR. Right, so if you look at all three portions, the two of them, be it the quantitative ability or DILR, it's more a science than an art. It is more a science. There is art is left there, right? Creative ideas, etc., etc. Art is left. It is more a science than an art. Methods are there. So therefore, a little bit of art, a little bit of all it outside the box ideas or whatever you call them. Otherwise, it's more a science than an art. Whereas when it comes to VARC, it is more an art than a science. If people fail to understand this, they will never improve on this. Therefore, your verbal faculty also keeps telling that, hey, be in touch. Keep reading regularly. There is no other way than this. All right, that is why I'm also putting this caption on the other side. There is no elevator to success, especially in VARC, because it's more an art. It's more an art. Okay, having understood that, so how to develop this? Because I have about 2 months, 2.5 months. How do we do that? We will come to that practical aspect. Right, reading versus writing. This is another very important thing. Who should read and who should write? Who should write as well? I'm not saying that you write without reading. Some people can end up just in reading. Some people have to read and as well as write. See, if you are weak in VARC, you have to write and practice. Go back to the schools, all right, because these are all proven methods. So all right, why I'm asking you to go back to school is because I did, you did, therefore you'll be able to understand that. Whenever we got something wrong, teachers always asked us to write, they didn't ask us to read. Of course, you have to read before writing, no doubt about it. But no teacher ever advises that kid read this, you will get it. No, they always say that read it, make a notes, write it in notes, bring it to me. I will correct it. If you get some mistake there, I want you to write that grammar rule 5 more times. You are getting a word wrong. I want you to write it 5 more times. Reason being what? Everybody knows that reading does not improve. So, for example, a lot of people read the RC and it's been 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. There is hardly any improvement. Sometimes the students come to me and they will speak to me, sir, I've been practicing 2 RCs every day, 3 RCs every day, but it's been already 2 months now, 3 months now. I don't find any significant improvement. In the sense, I don't feel still confident. I'm not very confident that what happens on the D day, which means will I be able to get some good score given a paper today after 2 months? What it was before 2 months is more or less the same. Point is, you've been reading, you are not writing about it. Okay, point is what to write. We will come to it. So if you are weak, you should write. If you are good, you can just read. For example, I'm pretty good at quantitative aptitude. Let's assume, okay, I'm good at quantitative aptitude. I can read quantitative aptitude. I don't have to write quantitative aptitude, right? But if I'm weak in a particular area, for example, let's say that, so it's some particular area. Let's assume all right, so there is a subject by name analog systems. Those who are electronics engineers here may understand analog systems and digital systems. If I want to learn about analog systems, I will write and practice because I don't understand much about analog and digital systems. I will write and practice. I know what to write. I know what to read. Some things you just have to read. Some things you may have to write. That is where the confusion comes. Anything that is weaker, you have to write. So let's understand that from practice perspective, what to write. Therefore, the question comes, what to write. Let's understand that as we go along in this study. Second one, two important things come there. One is the reading speed. The other one is comprehension and retention capacity. It's a capacity, right? Because given that passage on the day in that particular slot, let's assume that about 75 to 70, about 70,000 students will be reading the same passage, right? There are three slots in a CAT. So about 70,000 students write in every single slot. All 70,000 people will be reading the same passage, more or less, right? Roughly. Let's assume, take one simple passage there. All 70,000 will be reading the same passage, but their comprehension capacities are different. Reading speed can be different, but we all read that. No problem reading that particular word. No big deal about it. We all read the same passage. What changes? The capacity of absorption is different for different people. I need to build that capacity. Two things to build. If you are poor at reading speed, you have to build reading speed. Reading speed building is different. Comprehension capacity building is different. A lot of people misunderstand between the two. Or they think that just by reading the comprehension builds. Absolutely not. Right? By reading speed may build. But comprehension may build very insignificantly. Small doses it may build. That's not the idea. There is a way to do it so that you get the better return on your investment of time. That's important there. Okay. Yeah. So reading speed is a different issue. The comprehension capacity building is a different issue. Some people misunderstand between these issues, right? And therefore, nothing will improve after months and months of effort. So therefore, I'm bringing this to you. If you want to increase the reading speed, and you want to increase the concentration, not comprehension, concentration, thereby a little bit of comprehension, you got to read every day 30 minutes. Just put your mobiles to silent mode or whatever it is, open your laptop or open a book, and then just read something which challenges. Editorials are the good bet if you have access to the newspapers, or magazines are the good bet. Take an article or take several articles. Simply read rigorously for 30 minutes. That builds your reading speed and focus and attention. But there is no guarantee that builds your comprehension. And therefore, how to build comprehension? We will come back to that. Okay, if you want to just quickly understand how to build a comprehension. So that has to be done differently. What you will do, 30 minutes reading, that is the reading drill. What you are trying to do in that reading drill, 30 minutes rigorous reading, that builds your reading speed. Your speed will increase from 200 words per minute to 250, 300, 400. It will go up to 600, 650, 700 words also. I've seen people with 600, 650 words per minute. That's the kind of reading speed that they build. That's a speed. Doesn't mean that the comprehension is similar. Why? Based on the articles, we modulate between the speed and comprehension. How much you understand, based on that you will increase the speed. I want to understand little about it, simple novel I'm reading, I will increase the speed to 500, 600 levels. No, it's a very meticulous reading. I need to understand word by word. It's an article based on this. I have to sign this legal document. I will bring down the speed to 250 words per minute because I'm putting some signature after this, right? So I'm abiding by certain conditions out here. I will bring it down to 200, 250 words per minute. Reading novel, increase it to 600 words per minute, 500 to 600 words per minute, because opportunity cost, you don't lose much out there. So you'll get the gist of the idea. That's how you kind of navigate between them. Okay, the reading speed, you do that. If you want to increase the comprehension, you got to read paragraph by paragraph. If you're reading an editorial, write one paragraph. If editorial made up of two paragraphs, sometimes three paragraphs, sometimes four paragraphs, you read one paragraph, put that paper down, and then write one key phrase about what you read, or write one sentence about what you read. If you are not able to write one sentence about what you read, then you have a very poor comprehension skills and retention skills. Naturally, the moment when your mind knows that after reading that particular paragraph, you are keeping a book beside you, you have to write one sentence about it, or you have to write two key phrases about it, or three key phrases about it. Retention will automatically build because your mind gives the auto, it will get auto triggered. Retention gets auto triggered because it knows that you have to write something about it. By doing that, your grammar will increase, your vocabulary will increase, because to write, your vocabulary should be good, your grammar has to be right, because you have to write the right proper sentence there, right? And your retention will come in the picture. Your comprehension, you are pushing your comprehension. Every time you want to write something, what you are trying to say, you have to understand. Without understanding, what line you will write about that particular paragraph, right? Yeah. So that's the whole idea. So if you want to improve comprehension, you will read paragraph by paragraph. After every paragraph, you close it. The close means what? You stop reading and you will write something about it. Then you write the other one, then you write something about it. That's how you improve your comprehension and retention. But when you are improving your reading speed, you will not stop in between. You understand much, you don't understand much, doesn't matter. Complete drill of 20 to 30 minutes of just reading, 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 and reading. That's a kind of a difference between reading and comprehension. Did you get this, guys? Did you get this difference? Are you understanding? Is anybody learning something here? You're getting the differences. I put something versus something because you need to understand this about the language, especially if you're weak. Right? Especially you had one of those four issues out there. If you have one of those four issues, you need to understand how you got to work in the next 2 months. Otherwise, there will not be any significant change. These are based on very practical understanding of what I went through in the last 7, 8 years of mentoring. All right. Okay. Okay, all right. So practice. All right. Now, sometimes while people practicing, there is a quality practice versus quantity practice, right? So quantity, there is a fine gap between all of the. You may have to bridge between quality and quantity. Only quantity does not help. More the practice, some people think that it will become better. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's not about more quantity. More you practice, more it gets better. No, how you practice matters. What is that more? What is that method to do that more matters a lot, right? How you are doing that more, because you may be doing more, but you are doing it in the wrong way, therefore it will not yield any result. But that more, if you do it in a right way, it matters. Therefore, finding that method of doing matters. We will speak about it. So therefore, what is that quality and quantity issue? We'll come back to it in a while. We'll come back to it in a while. Hi Uday. Hi. Yeah, okay. So coming back to this, let's understand this. Okay, we said in the previous slide that we may have to write something, reading versus writing, right? We are reading versus writing. So let's come back to that, and we'll also talk about this quality versus quantity. What is this? All right, now what is this part? We will come back to this. Okay, now let's understand this. If you are doing some RC, firstly, so you read paragraph by paragraph. This is while practicing, not in the exam. In the exam, you don't have to do this. All right, you don't have to do this. But practice is very different. If you are especially weak hereafter for the next 1 month, maybe already till the end of the till the mid of next month, this is what you may have to do if you are weak there. This is also what I meant by the qualitative practice. What you got to do. If you take one particular RC, your teachers might have said, hey, every day practice 2 RCs, every day practice 3 RCs, or you want to read editorials. Doesn't matter to me. Practice all it now. That editorials, etc. Do it from the reading and the GK perspective, and do every day some 2 or 3 RCs every day, which kind of challenges your mind. Let's assume you are started doing 2 or 3 RCs every single day. 2 is good for some people, 3 is also okay for some people. Around 2 and 3 is a good number. That's what we believe. Okay, go to a paragraph. You took a passage. The passage has about 2 paragraphs, sometimes 3 paragraphs. All right, that's how the passages are. Most of the passages are either 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs. That's what I've kind of seen in the CAT papers more often in the off late, because about 400 to 600 words is each RC, somewhere between 400 to 600 words. Okay, so therefore 400 to 600, the divide between 2 paragraphs or 3 paragraphs of information. Read 1 paragraph, stop reading after reading that 1 paragraph, just recall, which means what did you understand? As I said, that you have to build the understanding capacity. It will not build overnight, right? So some people read the same thing, they understand more from that paragraph. Some people read that, they understand less from the paragraph. But I need to increase that. Whatever is that capacity of understanding now, I need to increase that capacity. That is the whole idea. How do I increase that capacity? Or as Risha was asking that, how do I improve my retention? By writing. So what you do, you stop reading, or once you complete that particular paragraph, write one phrase or write 2 phrases. Hey, these are the 2 important things author wanted to tell in the first paragraph. If you are not able to understand which are the 2 important things author wanted to tell, then reading has no meaning, right? So which are the 2 important things? All of that your verbal teachers would have demonstrated, because I'm not taking a verbal lecture here. Had I been taken an RC, I would have shown, hey, if I read this particular paragraph, I would have written these 2 things like this. I'm sure you are attending some verbal lectures, and in that they would be definitely showing, hey, in this particular paragraph, these are the key words, these are the key things, or this is the key message, or this is the important evidence author is trying to give. This is where he's trying to test that change his stance in between. All that stuff, all it now, whatever the nuances there, your teacher would have taken you through those paragraphs and would have made it clear to you. Fair enough. Okay, that's the point you got to do. Then read the second paragraph and write the same thing out there. And after that, if you want, read the full passage once again. Right? This is what you kind of do there. Paragraph by paragraph, you will do. So naturally, your summary skills also become good in this, because the moment you start writing like this, you will become fantastic at writing the summaries. In the sense, the summary based questions what come in the CAT is nothing but an offshoot of your verbal skills, offshoot of your reading skills, nothing but all that reading comprehension skills. Fair enough. So this will definitely builds your comprehension skill. It's a sure short solution. If you start writing, keep a book. Whenever you are doing an RC, you don't have to keep the time. Time later, time-based testing later. If you are weak, first you got to improve your comprehension and retention capacity. What you do, keep a book, read that paragraph, write a couple of sentences about it. One sentence, one phrase is also fine, one keyword is also fine, right? How much less you write, that much good it is, but it should be impactful. Start writing, you will naturally improve. That is the number one thing that you do. Now the RC is finished, you looked at the RC, you read 2 paragraphs, or you read 3 paragraphs, you wrote those keywords there. Write it, don't underline, write it. You write it, because I want you to kind of write that summary there. That is the short solution, right? You write it there, and then you read the full passage once again, because while you are reading paragraph by paragraph, there was a time gap between. So therefore, it is very likely that probably you might not retain all the information in the mind. Read once again if you want. Then go to the questions. Now you went to the questions, right? Yeah. Now, when you go to the questions, this is another important thing. Am I driven by my expectation, or am I driven by my answer options, right? So what do you mean by driven by my answer options? You read the passage. All right, and then you kind of, all right, after reading the passage already two times, you have read while practicing, because you did paragraph by paragraph, and maybe if it is required, you would have read the complete stuff. Then when you look at the question, except and all that, right? Now all are true except, leave that. If you are reading a particular question, generally, do I have any set expectation? Do I know what can be my answer looking like? Or like, do I have a look alike in kind of an answer? Or I just read the question immediately, I will look at the choices. Just I will look at the choices. If you simply look at the choices without any opinion in your mind, chances are that you will be misguided, because you don't have an opinion. For example, you are going for certain discussion, right? You are going for certain discussion, you don't have any opinion, you have read, but then you don't have any opinion. Anybody can change your mind, right? Because you don't have any opinion. But if you have a certain opinion, when other person is talking, you will understand that which is right according to me, which is wrong according to me, which makes sense out of the discussion, which does not which does not make a sense out of the discussion. So therefore, always be driven by your expectation. You read, after reading, you know what has been spoken by the author. I'm not saying that for every question this is possible. Most of the questions this is possible. For most of the question, when you read the question, you know that your answer should be somewhere on these lines. So when you expect, now look at the choices. Something will be coming closer to your expectation. I'm not saying that you will be able to write an answer option. That's not the idea. You set an expectation. You start with an expectation. You don't throw up yourself to the choices. You throw up yourself to the choices. Every choice will influence you. It says that I am the answer. B also says that I am also the answer. C says that I can also be the answer, right? Every choice will start influencing you, because that's how they create the choices sometimes. All right, in some of the good passages, passage is never passage is not difficult to read. Choices, all right, because they know that, hey, some people after reading the question, they will throw themselves up into the answer. Every choice will start influencing you. It starts influencing your mind. You means your mind. It says that I am the answer. B also says I am the answer. C also says I am the answer. Confusion, right? So if you have an expectation, you will not get into that kind of confusion. You know, you are driven by, I read it, I'm driven by my expectation. This is how my answer should look like. Naturally, one of them will be much closer to you. But yeah, sometimes it may happen that your expectation is completely different from the choices. That also happens. I'm not denying, but it happens rarely. Honestly, it happens rarely if you practice in this particular choice. This is another important point people tend to forget. Am I driven by expectation, or am I driven by the choices every time? If you are driven by choices, your accuracy will never improve. So how will I be driven by expectation? By understanding, and that is what I taught you, how to improve that comprehension capacity. I call it as comprehension capacity, which needs to be built, right? Some people has a poor capacity, some people have a great capacity. Fair enough. So let's come to this next one. If it is answer choices, again, so a lot of people come back and say that, sir, all right, no, this answer is also fine, that answer is also fine. There were a lot of debates, right? So the people have debated with me in the past, saying that why this can't be the answer, why that can't be the answer. I am very sure C is the answer, but I am saying D is the answer. There were debates around it. So then all it knows, with a lot of verbal faculty also I've seen in the past, a lot of students sitting and arguing with the verbal faculty. No, arguing, it doesn't mean that trying to put you down or something like that. Argue is what? I somehow feel this is the answer and these are the reasons. Some other person feels this is the answer and these are the reasons. Fair enough. So, but ultimately is what? There is nothing in some of the questions, there is nothing like the right answer or wrong answer. It is only the relatively the best answer. It's the relativity. Sometimes they look at the relativity between the choices. Therefore, the best possible answer choice is what you may have to decide at that point in time. That is where the trick comes, because there cannot be a wrong answer. Sometimes say this is wrong. No, I can't brand it as wrong, right? But this is better. There is a difference between saying this is better and this is wrong. A lot of people think that this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Hey, it is not about wrong, wrong, wrong. It is about, is this better or is this better? The moment you understand that I'm looking for the better one, your judgment skills will improve. The moment you make it binary, saying that this is right, this is wrong, your judgment skills will be poor. So you will not brand it as a binary, this is right, this is wrong. You always keep it open in your mind and say that, is there anything better than this? Let me have a relative measure. Okay, some of them may be outrightly wrong. I'm not denying it. But you don't start judging the answer options by right or wrong. You start judging by saying that which is relatively better. The moment you take that stance, chances of getting your answers right is much, much higher, right? Much, much higher. Fair enough. All right. So this is how you kind of look into these particular parameters. All good. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Is it helping you? Give a quick confirmation, guys. Is this helping what I'm trying to say? Very practical insights I'm trying to give, because this is based on my experience in the last 7, 8 years of guiding students. A little bit I'm saying what I've guided, which can be a common to most of you. Right? Yeah. Individuals could be different. When you individually speak to me about your inabilities, my suggestions will be much more finer, refined. But then this is in general. What I'm saying is in general, how somebody can build the skills in a very short time. Okay, all right. So that's something. All right, let's come to the next one. So what you've got to do now. So very important thing. This is the most important step I am talking. Okay, you read the RC. So writing practice, you wrote the keywords, you wrote the phrases, which means you are doing certain writing practice. Good. And then you said, all right, now how to look at the choices. You have not looked at the choices yet. In the second point, what I said is, so how to look at the choices. So be driven by expectation. Don't be driven by answer options. That's what you are trying to say. Then again, when you look at the answer options, you have not looked at the answer options yet. Before looking at the answer option, these are the guidelines in your mind. Hey, relative, which means I am not looking for the right or wrong answer option. I'm looking at relatively the best possible answer option. Okay. Now you open up yourself to the answer options, right? You open up yourself to the answer options. Then you kind of go through the answer options. When you go through the answer options, let's say that, okay, the answer options were A, B, C, D. These were the four answer options. Of course, there will be radio buttons. There will not be A, B, C, D in a CAT exam. It's just a radio button, first, second, third, fourth. One of the radio buttons is what you got to tick, something like that. So whichever way it is, okay. So A, B, C, D, let's say that, okay, you finally decided that C is my answer. You finally decided C is the answer. You are practicing. This is not in the exam. Don't take this to the exam. Exam, you don't have to write anything, right? You hardly write anything. So in the exam, I'm in the practice I'm talking about. You are taking one RC, how you build relationship with that RC, how you actually work on that RC I'm teaching. So because you have to learn, you have to build your comprehension and retention capacity. You looked at A, B, C, D there. You decided that C is the relatively the best answer possible. Okay, give a reason why A cannot be the answer. Give a reason here why A cannot be the answer. Fine. Keeping C in mind, give a reason why A cannot be the answer. Why B cannot be the answer, why D cannot be the answer. You have to write the reasons here. All right, you have to write here. All right, now A, B, all right, now you have to write an answer, reason why A is not the answer, why B is not the answer, why D is not the answer. That reasoning is important. One phrase you write, one word you write, one sentence you want to write whatever you want to write. This is what I mean by qualitative practice. You write. Okay, like this you did for all the questions. Let's assume that all the questions, while reading some questions, you may want to go back to the passage, go back, do all of that. So you write the reason. Without writing a reason, you will not accept an answer. You may say that, sir, for C, I want to give a reason why C is the answer. I don't want a reason. All right, I want a reason why others are not the answer. Therefore, for C, why C is the answer, why C is the answer, reason will be very clear. I don't have to bother about it, right? Yeah. Sometimes I'll tell them, I tell my verbal faculty who were reporting to me in the past, because I was the course director for the entire CAT program. So all the verbal faculty, those who are reporting me also, I used to tell them while teaching, don't tell why C is the right answer. Tell them why A cannot be the answer, B cannot be the answer, D cannot be the answer. That's a way to teach language, right? Yeah, any which ways. That's a different issue. Yeah. So I used to tell that always teach like this so that people will improve. By telling that this is right, nobody will improve. That's an instant gratification. That's all. Don't try to say what is right. Try to say what are not right, why others cannot be right, keeping C in mind. So then naturally, all now their skills will be developing. So let's assume you got to do yourself like this. So once you do this, now go to the answer choices. Once all the passage is done, you will now go back to the answer key or answer explanation, whatever it is. Sometimes keys will be there for your material that you are reading. Sometimes explanation would be given for the material that you are reading. Let's say there is a difference in opinion, but answer says, the actual answer says that, hey, actually it says that, hey, actual answer for this particular question is B. Actual answer is going to be B. Now the problem comes. Read the choice here. What is that you have written? What was that you have offered there? B is not the answer because of these reasons. But author is now telling that B is the answer, others are not the answer. Now what happens? You will rectify your error patterns. Everybody, right from our childhood days, because of sudden poor reading skills, our mind would have developed its own error patterns. What we got to do in the next 1 or 2 months is we got to address those error patterns. Otherwise, error patterns will never get addressed. We keep doing the same kind of mistakes. Making a newer kind of mistakes is fine, but making the same kind of mistakes is painful. So why we end up making the same kind of mistakes? Those patterns are built in our mind right from our childhood days, because we've been reading for the last 15 years. It is not 1 or 2 years, 15 years of reading, and therefore certain error patterns have already been built. Misunderstanding of certain language part has already been built in the mind. So now I need to identify it and start rectifying those patterns and address those patterns. This is what happens. Like this, if you do two passages with about 4 questions or 5 questions or 6 questions, whatever your study material is offering, 3 questions sometimes. So it depends from passage to passage. If you do 2 or 3 passages like this, it consumes enough time. It builds your capacity. It corrects your error patterns. This is the way to write it. Some people all it as like a masters. Now, who can just read and say that, oh, okay, this is a silly mistake, I should have done this. No, this can be done by your trainers or somebody who is very, very good at reading skills. For them, it is okay. For them, just by looking at this, they understand that, hey man, okay, B should have been the answer. By mistake, I marked the C as the answer. That's fine. That is for your verbal trainer. That is for your verbal trainer, not for you. Or you are already getting very high marks there. So which means your reading skills are very, very good. Then you can read and you can rectify. Otherwise, you have to write and sit over it, think over it, rectify it. Don't make that mistake. Some of the often seen error patterns, you can also go ahead with those particular error patterns and make a note in a separate book, so that you kind of don't make such kind of mistakes time and again, right? So this is what you mean by writing and correcting them, right? Yeah. So this is what you technically meant. Hey, what if it is a VA? VA also same thing that you will do. All right, VA also you do exactly same thing. For example, if you are working on the summaries, all right, working on the para summaries, do exactly same thing. Why the first one first? All right, now if there are 4 answer choices here, A, B, C, D, give the reason. If you say that B is the correct answer, give me the reason why A cannot be the answer, why C cannot be the answer, why D cannot be the answer. Don't read it. Don't give that reason in your mind. Write it right in front of this. Right in front of this. Then go back, compare with your answers. And while writing that also, you wrote something here. Check, is the author also trying the same thing here? The author, your answer has matched. Let's say that, okay, B has matched. My answer is B, and the answer key also says it is B. Very good. But check your reasons once again. Check your reasons once again. Is that reason being offered is fine, or is there any additional reason is also being offered there? Check it. All right. That's how you kind of understand and you can increase your comprehension capacity, right? So it becomes a lot more better. Accuracy, the moment your comprehension increases, accuracy is directly proportional. You don't have to worry about it. Once our understanding capacity is built, accuracy is automatically built. We don't have to bother much about that particular pattern. It's very directly proportional. People focus on accuracy, improve accuracy, improve accuracy. How to improve accuracy? What do I do for it? You got to build comprehension. Backward, how do I build comprehension? Start writing. Start writing to correct your error patterns. Unless you write, you will not improve, right? If it is very weak there. Okay, the message is clear. Underlying message is very clear to everybody. I will not spend much time there. I've already taken about 30-35 minutes. Is the underlying message pretty clear, obvious? Made sense? How you got to practice? I'm giving you an assurance. You do this for 30 days, you will find a significant improvement. But doing is a very painful process. That's the reason I put this particular caption. There is no elevator. It is only staircase. It is, you got to sweat. What I'm saying is, if you're weak, you got to sweat. There is no choice in the matter. Sweat means what? Write. Reading does not help. After reading, you got to write as well. If you don't write, for every choice you got to write. For every paragraph you got to write. You do this for 1 month. Already, no, don't do this in the mocks and the exams. Now, don't get into that. So while practicing, this is what I mean by the qualitative practice. After that, you don't need that, right? After that, you don't need. When you get in the swimming pool, sometimes you need that board, right? So because you don't want to drown. So therefore, you need that particular board. You use that board to swim, float. After some days, what happens? Your coach will say that now you are good enough, man. Remove that board. Why you need that particular board? Or sometimes they will give a ring around your waist. They will say that, okay, wear this ring and then do that. You start floating in the water. Right? After some days, your coach will say that remove that ring. Now it is not required. Your legs and hands seems to be moving in the right direction. Precisely like that. Right? You start writing. After some days, you realize that this writing is not required. All that is happening in my mind really very well. You will find that. Okay? Yeah, that's the point there. Don't think that, okay, by writing, will I get into a bad practice? Absolutely not. After some days, your mind will tell that you don't have to write, man. You are very good. You're becoming already improving there. Your accuracy is good. Your speed is good. Your capacity has built in with respect to the comprehension. You don't have to write. So that day you will stop it. All at those kind of instances, you stop it. Okay, fair enough. That brings me to the end of this particular lecture. That's what I wanted to convey in about 30-40 minutes time. I hope this particular video has helped you. So we'll be doing Venn diagrams in some time now, about 2ish in the afternoon. We'll be doing Venn diagrams. At 10 in the night, we'll be doing the numbers, right? We'll continue with our numbers. Yeah, if you have not taken, if you want to do this Venn diagram maxima minima today, just take a quick look at yesterday's video, because it's a continuation of that. If you take a quick look at yesterday's video, it might help. And you find most of these particular videos under the branding CAT Ninjas 1.0. Right, you will be finding this under the branding CAT Ninjas 1.0. Try and find this particular video. Strategy sessions, if you want to find it, figure it out as Belvi Srinivas. You can just type it as Belvi Srinivas. I've done about half a dozen strategy videos, because Rajat, you are asking that on LRDI, etc. So all of that. Yeah, Rajat, I'll be taking LRDI classes also. I'll balance between quant and LRDI, because I'm fine with both of them. LR and DI and quant, I'm fine with all of them. Verbal also, I'm fine, just that I don't teach. That's it. I'm fine. I don't teach, because teaching is very different from knowing. Knowing and teaching are two different things. If I teach, it may not come out as how it has to come out. Okay. Yeah. All right, so here it comes. So algebra module, I'm doing on algebra module. I'm technically doing the algebra module on the Unacademy app. Right, I'm doing this on the Unacademy app. If you have not downloaded the Unacademy app, you can download the Unacademy app. And 3 days of the week, I'll be doing the algebra. You can take a look at that. And if you have not downloaded the app, you can use this user code and you can download the app, so that you can follow me out there, undisturbed time of learning. So we can do it right out there. Yeah, if you have liked what we are discussing as a part of these particular videos, before you leave, you can put the like button, you can press the like button, and you can share the link with your friends as well. Let them also get benefited. And yes, on every Sunday, at an academy, you will have the combat test. It is just about an hour's test, and there are fantastic scholarships available on this hour's test for the top 200 students. So you can avail some of these scholarships. The scholarship descriptions are here. This happens every Sunday at 12 in the afternoon. Every Sunday, this Sunday, next Sunday, all of this. So while writing the test, if it asks for certain code, if it asks for a certain code, you can use the code Belvi100 and you can access that particular test. Today there are certain batch launches, some things for CAT 21, some things are for CAT 22. You can take a look at them. So if something suits you, you can be a part of that. Yeah, that brings me pretty much to the end of this particular discussion. I hope all of you got some benefit out of this, especially if you are looking for some guidance as to practical guidance as to how one can improvise on verbal. It is definitely possible. It just takes about 20, 30, 40 kind of days. Yeah, there we go. That brings me to the end of it. So I will see you guys at 2 in the afternoon. Bye till then. Stay blessed. All of you have a pleasant day. Bye bye. Yeah, any comments that you have, you can put it in the comment section after the live chat gets disabled. You can put that in the comment. I will come back and address some of them. And if you want, already you can also reach out to me on the Telegram group. You can add to this particular Telegram group and you can put your comments there as well. Here also you can put your comment. Right? You can go there, and if there is something to be asked, you can ask it from here as well. Okay, fair enough. That brings me to the end of this discussion. Bye bye. See you again.